What's up, folks? Wrestle Talk 2018 with your host, the Chili Most, me, G-Funk. But minus my man, Mr. X, to say he had a family engagement he had to attend, so he'll be back next time. But I have a special co-host, and he has special theme music, so I'm going to play it for you right now as I get him queued up here. Ladies and gentlemen, my special co-host for today, the one and only, my boy, my homie, the one and only, Jay Breezy. Mr. Breezy?
What's up, Jerry? How are you?
All right, brother. Doing good, doing good. I'm Mr. Breezy on. I've known him for a while. He's a diehard wrestling fan. He's a huge wrestling historian in his own right, so he's... I asked him if you want to come on and sub for Mr. X, and he said more than happy, so I'm glad to join. You can join me, Mr. Breezy. I appreciate it. Mr. X appreciates it as well. We're going to do our top 5 managers of all time. For me, it was tough. I don't know how it was for you, but it was, there's so many managers, like I said, but in the last 15 years or so, there hasn't been many. So up until like probably 2000 something, the manager kind of disappeared. So like I said, there's, pretty much these are going to be old-based managers, at least from my end. I don't know about you, but I'll let you start. Who's your number 5?
Number 5 would be Paul Heyman. I figured he's managed so many guys over the years, starting especially with the Dangerous Alliance back in the day, with Medusa, Austin before he was Stone Cold, Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton, all those guys, and then up to Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Big Show, etc.
Yeah.
So
he was my number 5 as well. Well, like I said, Paul Heyman, back in the day, in the 80s, Dangerous Alliance was one of the best factions in WCW besides the Four Horsemen. So, like I said, he definitely, with CM Punk and a Big Show and of course, Brock Lesnar now, he's definitely one of the most popular and most, successful managers, I think, to date, just because, like I said, granted, he hasn't been on, he's only managed Brock Lesnar. I would like to see him manage somebody else, maybe a female or a tag team of some sort, but I think he's much committed to Brock and not managing anybody else. But, like I said, I could kill us. Who do you have for number 4?
number 4, I have Gary Hart. Now, he's managed so many guys over the years. I'm going to list them off as quickly as I can. Great Muta, One Man Gang, Abdullah the Butcher, Terry Funk, Bruiser Brody, Kevin Sullivan, Roddy Piper, Big John Studd, Ivan Koloff, Cowboy Bob Orton, Ronnie Garvin, Larry Zbyszko, Dusty Rhodes, and Jerry the King Lawler. This guy's been all over the place, probably from the late 60s till probably about the late 80s or so. And this guy's created so many different guys. It's insane. So,
that's one guy. I completely forgot about him. That's a good one. My one is Classy Freddie Blassie. Classy managed Hulk Hogan at one point. He managed Nikolai Volkov and Iron Sheik when they were tag team champions. He had an array of other guys, but the big ones I think for me was remember him when he first took over and tried to mold Hulk Hogan. For me, that was the early '80s, and I was kind of surprised because but I guess it was good because he kind of was like the flashy guy who wore the nice jewelry, and Hogan was supposed to be all like California, Hollywood with his long blonde hair. So I think that's why they put him together. And I always loved his saying, "You pants on that geeks." He was one of my favorite guys because he always had funny sayings and it was very entertaining most of the time.
I forgot about him.
What about number 3?
Number 3, I have the Grand Wizard of Wrestling. Now he's probably stems back to the early '60s, I believe, and he's managed a lot of Hall of Famers in his career: Morocco, Sheik, Valentine, Patterson, Slaughter, Kamala, Orton, Stan Stasiak, of course, superstar Billy Graham, Ivan Koloff, Mr. Fuji, and George the Animal Steele. He's won several championships, as far as managing guys, and he's absolutely amazing. He's
one guy I also forgot, too, man. I didn't think... I'm like, man, I said, you were right. We're going to have the same guys, besides Heyman so far. My number 3 was the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Gotcha.
He managed so many with the Hart Foundation, the Honky Tonk Man, the Nasty Boys. Like his list goes on. He managed Hogan at one time, and like I said, I loved him because he was funny. I loved the megaphone. His whole spiel. He had a good run in WWE for a long time and a little bit in WCW. He was definitely one of my favorite managers because he was just funny and always getting in trouble and had the big mouth. I just loved the megaphone because I thought that was the funny. His mouth, because he didn't need it, because his mouth of the South for a reason. He had such a loud voice to begin with. The megaphone made it 10 times funnier. So, that was one of my favorites. What's up to 2?
2.
Yeah.
Yep. Number 2 would be Captain Lou Albano for me.
Yeah.
He's known for managing 15 different tag teams to the tag team titles, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
If you think about all the different guys that he managed, 15 different teams is just absurd.
That's a lot.
And a lot of people remember him for his various face and heel turns. He turned so much, almost as much as a Big Show if you think about it.
I know. He turned a lot.
And, his list includes Steele, Koloff, Valentine, Snuka, when Snuka was a heel, actually.
Yep.
Pat Patterson, Ken Patera, Adonis and Murdoch when they were the tag champs, and British Bulldogs, and you can go on and on.
Wild Samoans, yeah, he's my number 2 as well. Captain Lou was great. I love the rubber bands on his face. That was always funny. I don't know why. It was just so weird. He was part of the Rock and Wrestling Connection. He was in the Cyndi Lauper video in the 80s, so that made him kind of big too as well. And like I said, he managed so many tag teams and so many guys that he was definitely one of the cornerstones of managers back then. And he was a decent wrestler too. He wasn't the greatest wrestler of all. He wasn't the greatest. He wasn't a champion, but he managed a few champions in his day. So that was a good one. All right, who's your number 1?
You got to realize too, Captain Lou is also a local guy. I think he's Kickskill actually.
Yeah, he's not too. Yeah, I think he's in the Orange County, Dutchess. I think Dutchess area. I think he's from.
Dutchess County. Yeah. All right, so my number 1, I think your number 1's gonna be the same thing. We got Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yes. Yeah.
I figured that. Now he started off probably, I would say, early '70s in the AWA. He managed, of course, Nick Bockwinkel and Ray Crippler Stevens. They were an amazing tag team, and then of course, he had the Heenan family back in the AWA, but he's more known for having the Heenan family in the WWF back in the day. With Bundy, Rude, Orndorff, Stud, Harley Race, Andre the Giant.
He had so many great guys he managed in the 80s, with Bundy and Stud and Andre and Rick Rude and Orndorff. The list of his guys is like crazy. And what I loved about Bobby Heenan, besides him being a manager, he Mr. Perfect he managed, and he also like taught Mr. Perfect how to be a manager or like kind of like a valet, whatever. But the best thing was when he got Ric Flair to come to WWE, because he was one of the main reasons why Ric Flair came to WWE, because he was talking with Vince, but supposedly from what they said in one of his biographies, that one of the negotiations wasn't going well, and he wanted to deal with Bobby Heenan because they talked via phone a few times, and they wanted him to sit down with Vince and try to get him, and eventually Ric Flair came to WWF and won the Royal Rumble that year, '92, whatever. And won the championship. So, like I said, if it wasn't for for Bobby Heenan, who knows if Ric Flair would have become the WWF? But
very true, very true.
And like I said, he was also funny. Like when he did the primetime wrestling with Gorilla Monsoon, they were the best commentators. They made me laugh. When they did their skits together, they were comical. He was funny, and he knew it. Like he knew what the audience wanted, and he was great. He was pretty much a heel manager his whole life. He wasn't never a face at all, really. So, but everyone loved him. He was just a good guy. He passed away, and he was definitely one of my all-time favorite managers. That's why he's my number 1.
Couldn't agree more.
Like I said, we got Fastlane coming up tomorrow night. Like I said, I'm talking to you before. I know you aren't as much as into it as I'm kind of on the fence about it. Like I kind of want to watch it, see what's going to partake. Because leading up to, like I said, WrestleMania is less than a month away. This is the last pay-per-view leading to WrestleMania. So, like I said, a lot of stuff's going to come of this. Like what's going to happen on SmackDown the next 3 or 4 weeks leading to WrestleMania. So, like I said, you kind of just want this. I don't know about you. I kind of just want this one to be over with to see what builds to WrestleMania.
I was just going to say the same thing, actually. It's one of those pay-per-views where it just needs to be done and over with so we can actually get the real build for WrestleMania.
Yeah. All right, I'll go down the card. I got the list right here. First match, I think it's probably the pre-match. Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Carmella and Natalya. Does it matter?
I don't know how they're going to do this one, just because the match basically means nothing.
Exactly. There's no build-up to it. That doesn't mean anything.
I guess I'm going to go with the faces on this one, Becky and Naomi.
Yeah, Becky and Naomi, like I said, unless, like I said, does it really matter who wins? Not really. Because none of them are being pushed at this moment. There's no tag. It's not like there's a women's tag team division or anything, which they should do, by the way, but I don't think that'll ever happen.
Maybe eventually.
Next match, we got Nakamura versus Rusev.
Poor Rusev.
I know.
He's the second most over guy on SmackDown, other than AJ Styles. And poor Nakamura, because Nakamura, I think, is going to get booed out of the building in this match. And I don't think it's going to be the way WWE wants it to be. Nakamura is obviously going to go over, but it's just a matter of, I can't believe they're putting, Nakamura in a spot against Rusev when Rusev's the second most over guy on the show.
Yeah.
But, this obviously is just, as I've told you a million times, that Nakamura needs a clean win. Bring out Rusev for a pay-per-view win.
You didn't do the voice. I love when you do the voice.
Maybe next time.
Okay. But when Breezy does this voice, he does when he says, someone needs a clean win, he does the voice. It's pretty funny. He'll do it next time. Yeah, I'm going Nakamura. As much as they got to build him up going to WrestleMania, I feel bad for Rusev because I'd rather see him fight somebody else and go over and beat them. But like I said, he's so over now, and like with the Rusev Day and Aiden English singing the shit, and I think it's really funny. I think he's got a good thing going, and they're killing him, But what are you gonna do? The next match, the U.S. title match, Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton.
This one, I'm gonna go with some sort of schmaz finish, I guess, with Mahal coming out and maybe beating both of them up. I don't know. I just don't see a clean winner coming out of this.
Yeah,
because I think we're leaning towards a triple threat at Mania with the three of those guys, but who knows?
I think it's going to be a count out or a double disqualification or something. I think Jinder's going to interfere and cost someone the match. It's going to be a disqualification or double disqualification or whatever, something stupid. Like I said, they're going to build it up with Jinder interfering because they're building up already, and this is just going to make it more bigger for WrestleMania because eventually they'll announce a triple threat match, which would be awesome. Like I said, but from what I've been hearing, since Randy Orton hasn't had the U.S. belt, he's going to win it at Mania because then he'll be one of the Grand Slam champions, have been all the champions. He's been Intercontinental champion, he's been WWE champion, he's been tag team champion, all that other Intercontinental champion, all that stuff. So I think he's going to win. For how long? I don't know. I hope he doesn't, but I think they're going to do it just for him so he can have that title. He's already done it. He's been WWE champion 14 times. I don't know how many times he's been Intercontinental champion, but the U.S. championship is never the only one he hasn't won. So maybe I don't want to see him win it, but I have a feeling they're going to give it to him at WrestleMania. The Women's Championship match: Charlotte versus Ruby. You got to do the voice for this one.
All right, here's what we're looking like. First of all, this is obviously a Charlotte gets a clean win. Bring out Ruby Riott for a pay-per-view win.
Yes.
Now, this is so obvious, it's ridiculous. I don't even know why they bothered even having this match, to be truthfully honest. I guess they got to get Charlotte on the pay-per-view somehow.
Yeah.
But this just has Charlotte making Ruby Riott tap out to the figure eight. Seems really obvious. They move on to Asuka.
The big rumors is supposedly after the match on SmackDown, supposedly Asuka's going to be there and she might come out and challenge her after that match. That's a big rumor. I don't know if it's true. Like I said, I don't know if they're going to do it. Maybe prior, maybe she comes down on SmackDown this week and does it. But a lot of people said she might come down. She might be at Fastlane and after that match challenge her. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, that's the only thing to look at forward to the match. Because otherwise, Ruby Riott's not winning, unless this is what I heard might happen. Ruby Riott, this is another big rumor. Ruby Riott's going to win. Carmella cashes in, beats Ruby Riott, and then there's a triple threat match between those three at WrestleMania with Charlotte, Ruby Riott, and Carmella. That's another rumor.
You're wrong.
yeah. Well, it's a rumor. So, like I said, I don't see that happening either. But like I said, that would be they definitely would throw everybody for a huge curveball. But I don't see it happening. The Tag Team Championship match, Usos versus New Day. Their matches have been spectacular. I don't see an ending to this one because I think the Bludgeon Brothers are going to interfere somehow. No contest, double disqualification, count out, some crazy ending. Just because I don't think that'll set up a triple threat match with those three. I'm telling you right now, they're going multi-man matches from like almost every match except for like the championship matches at WrestleMania.
That's the way it usually is at WrestleMania. For the last couple of years, it seems like they want to get everyone on the card. So they throw a lot of these multi-man, multi-tag, multi-women matches on there, so that way they get everyone on the card. I'm sort of agreeing with you. Yeah. I think it's going to be another DQ finish. If anything, I can see the Usos retaining the belts, but I'm like 50-50 on it. I don't really know. I do think you're right, though, leaning towards another triple threat tag match at Mania, possibly.
What I could see is if the Usos retain, the Bludgeon Brothers are going to interfere and cost New Day the match, and then they're going to come out and SmackDown and say, hey, you guys cost us matches. Either they're going to fight, or Shane or Daniel Bryan's going to match. All right, triple threat match, WrestleMania for the tag belts, whatever. Maybe they'll do a ladder match because that would be freaking awesome. Or some kind of I'll tell you right now, if they don't have any kind of ladder match at WrestleMania, I'm gonna be super pissed because they gotta have at least somebody fight on a ladder or some kind of gimmick match. Because if you don't have any gimmick match, everyone's like, and then like I said, we'll talk about it after this one, the last one, and then the WWE 6-pack challenge for the WWE Championship. AJ defends against Ziggler, KO, Sami Zayn, Corbin, and Cena, of course. I'm praying AJ wins. That's all I'm saying. I think he's gonna win. Everyone wants to see AJ versus Nakamura. Then I heard Cena's going to win for their 17th time, defending a triple threat match with AJ, and I don't want to see Cena anywhere near the championship match at all. As much as I don't want to see him fight the Undertaker either, I'd rather see him fight the Undertaker than be in a triple threat match and fuck up the whole main event. I don't want to.
I think AJ's taking it, and I do think that Cena's going to be the one that gets pinned, just to lead for the story that he has nothing to do with WrestleMania, which is the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard before. That John Cena's not going to have a match from WrestleMania. Give me a break.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Cena's taking the pin actually, and especially to give Styles the receipt back for when Cena pinned him on SmackDown. Mm-hmm. So I could see Styles pinning Cena.
Yeah, I could see something like that just because he lost on SmackDown. So I could see him returning the favor, beating him. Like I said, I don't know how it's going to go. What I heard, big rumor that WrestleMania's main event is not going to be either of the championship matches. It's going to be the mixed tag with frickin' Rousey and Kurt and Stephanie and Triple H.
I'm not surprised to hear that because the last thing they want is Roman Reigns getting booed out of the building when he beats Brock.
Yeah. So. Or actually, I'd rather see AJ and Nakamura. Why can't they be the main event? If they put their match on last, that'd be the smartest thing they ever could do. At least that's what I think. But
that's because they're not Vince's boys. So.
Yeah, exactly. I got a couple emails here. You can answer, like I said, put your 2 cents in. First is from my man John Wynn. Shout out to him. I don't know if he's watching. He normally watches or sends emails, but he sent this to me. How come Oliver Humperdinck wasn't around long? I don't know. he definitely had Bam Bam Bigelow, and I don't know. Who else? He managed somebody else too.
I think he actually did manage, the Samoan SWAT team back in WCW, too.
Yeah, he managed a couple of people, but...
them, and I think he managed Bigelow in WCW as well, actually, when he was there for a brief period of time.
Yeah, I don't know what he wasn't around long enough. I don't know if he had contract negotiation problems, because after a certain year, he just kind of vanished. I know what he's saying,
He disappeared. From WWF, he went to WCW and stayed with Bigelow, but... And he stayed when he went to the Samoan SWAT team, but after that, I know he was called the Big Kahuna, I think, back in WCW when he managed the Samoan SWAT team. But that was last I knew of him, and that was late 80s, early 90s, I believe.
It was late 80s, yeah. Do you like Jim Cornette? Do you ever think he'll make a return to the WWE? I like Jim Cornette. He was always entertaining. Will he come back to WWE? I don't think so. Him and Vince kind of clashed heads towards the end of his last run with WWE, from what I was told and what I heard. Like I said, it's been years. Maybe he'll reconcile and he comes back. What will he do? I don't know. Would he manage? Would he be like how Paul Heyman's advocate for Brock Lesnar? Would he be an advocate for somebody or a valet or whatever? Will it be actually a manager? Like I said, managers. There's no more managers. Like Paul Heyman's technically he doesn't call himself a manager. He calls himself an advocate. So. Like I said, there really is no manager. Like Dana Brooke, is she really a manager? Because she still wrestles. So she's like half valet, to me, half wrestler, because she doesn't really, even though she has her little clipboard and all the other bullshit, but, she's not really a manager either.
I don't see Cornette coming back anytime soon. He might get into the Hall of Fame eventually.
Yeah.
He was actually on my consideration list there for the top 5 managers.
If he was in top 10, if he was in top 10, he would have been on my list if he was in top 10.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, I don't see it. He had too many problems backstage, so I don't see it happening.
Yeah, that's the third question. What are your favorite memories of Miss Elizabeth, the Doctor of Style, Slick, and Classy Freddie Blassie? Elizabeth, because she was just beautiful, and she, the one I think everyone's favorite moment is when she climbed out of the stands after Macho Man lost to the Warrior, and Sensational Sherry started beating him up, and she came and pulled him off, and they hugged, and people were crying in the stands. Like granted, I was young, I was actually crying. I was little too, so I thought it was great. I'm like, oh yeah, they're back together, whatever. But that was I think one of the most memorable moments for Miss Elizabeth for me. And besides when she was with when she was managing Hulk and Macho's the Mega Powers, and they're fighting Andre and Ted DiBiase. She took off her little thing and her skirt, and she had her bloomers on, and everyone was like, "Woo, we got to see, we got to see." Like, she never really showed that much leg or a thigh. You know, she was always mostly just. You saw her cleavage, which wasn't that much, but for her to do that was like, ooh, everyone was like, and of course it distracted Andre and Ted DiBiase long enough for Mega Powers to win. But
she left us way too soon, and she needs to go into the Hall of Fame as soon as possible because she was probably the originator of the valet. Basically, she was one of the first ones to be an actual valet.
Yeah, true.
So she needs to go in. Who was the other two that you said?
The Doctor of Style, Slick.
Jive Soul Bro, was that the name of the song?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he had a cool theme song. I don't really. I just remember managing the Twin Towers.
Yep.
I don't really. Who else did he manage? I'm trying to remember who else he managed.
That was basically it, I think. Right? I know he managed. He managed the Warlord, I believe.
Yes, he managed the Warlord and someone else. I can't remember who it was.
Power and Glory. That was the other one.
Yes. Paul Roma and Hercules. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't really. I remember him just jump up and down with his, strutting around the ring with his little cane. So that's all I remember from him. Really, he was entertaining. Classy Freddie.
He turned into the Reverend Slick. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. Eventually, he turned into Reverend Slick.
Terrible. It was the other one.
They should never. And the last one was Classy Freddie Blassie. Classy Freddie Blassie to me was. I just remember him, with Hogan, and I liked when he actually was managing Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik, because he always would talk for them, kind of. The Sheik and Nikolai would talk, but with their accents and stuff, he kind of didn't really understand what they're saying sometimes. So he kind of this and that, and he was all for Russia and for Iran and stuff. So it was funny. He was entertaining to me. I didn't think he I didn't think. Oops, sorry. I leaned on the thing by accident. So, like I said, I didn't really have a memorable moment with him or a favorite moment, but I just remember him speaking for them all the time when they were tag team champions, which was my probably favorite time watching him manage.
Yeah, he was basically a mouthpiece for Sheik and Volkov for the most part, and he. I just remember, like you were saying a while back when you were doing the list, the pencil neck geeky. He would say it all the time.
He had great sayings. I love when he uses waggle his cane at people and stuff. It was always funny. His other question, which directed to me, what does G-Funk mean? I got the name G-Funk. My one friend Kirk, shout out to him. He's probably not watching because he's not a wrestling fan. But back in the day, we used to drive to work together, and we worked at the Woodbury Commons. And at the time, the big song that we loved was Warren G's "Regulate." And during the song, he says the G-Funk era. And I would, he would just say, and he would point to me and just say, "Oh, G-Funk era," and he just started calling me G-Funk, and it just caught on, and everyone started calling me G-Funk, and hence the name stuck, and I've been using it ever since. So that's how the origin of the G-Funk came. Next question: how can I get a signed photo of you and Mr. X? Send me some money, and you can get a photo. And number 6: will managers ever make a comeback in the WWE or any other wrestling venue? I don't know. I really, they're a dying breed. Who I was going to say, NXT. The Authors of Pain are managed by Paul Ellering, correct?
Yep.
He could, if they ever do call them up, which I'm waiting for them to call them up. I don't know if that's ever going to happen because I heard they're doing really good down there. They should bring him because the tag team division is getting shitty. Unless he should come up with them. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it should.
I don't think Ellering's going to come up with them just because at his age, I don't think he's going to be able to handle the full-time schedules that they do. So I think he might come up possibly in the beginning, and then he might gradually fade off TV.
Yeah. That's like I said. I would like to see him, but like I said, is it going to happen? Probably not.
But to answer the question though, I agree. Managers are a dying breed nowadays. They're few and far between, and I don't see it making a comeback. Okay,
my last email I got is, hold on, I'm looking for it here. I lost it. Where did it go? Oh, fudge. I just had it, and I lost it on this stupid thing. Oh, my God. Oh, here it is. Oh, I found it. From John Crenchman. Johnny C52 at MSN.com. He asks, "Hi, I'm 16 years old and I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I love your show very much because you tell it like it is. My question is, tell me what your ultimate dream angle is. Like, what would be your biggest idea to generate huge interest for a match? Example, NWO was a big one. Please think this through. JC." The biggest angle I always wanted to see, which didn't happen, was Hogan and Stone Cold. That I think would have been the best promos, build-up you could have done for a match. The fact they did The Rock and Hogan, it was cool. Like, it was good. But everyone wanted to see, like, you know, because back then, like I said, when I grew up, Hogan was the man. But in like the the late '90s into early 2000s, you know, Stone Cold and that generation, you know, in the Attitude Era, kept me from not watching wrestling anymore. Otherwise, if they didn't, if that and the Monday Night Wars didn't happen, I probably would not be a wrestling fan still. I probably would have stopped watching wrestling altogether. So to me, you got to take the two biggest guys who brought in the most bang for Vince, and that was Hogan and Austin. And that should have been probably the biggest angle you could have done, is the two biggest money makers of Vince, you know, of WWE in the past, whatever years you wanted to do it. But like I said, they could have done it so many ways. Who would have been heel? Who would have been face? You know, you could have done it either way, because Hogan was NWO. You could have made him the heel, Hogan the face, or Hogan could have done something and been heel, and Hogan could turn back to red and yellow. You could have done a bunch of different ways. So that to me was wasted. Like, they should have really done. Granted, The Rock and Hogan was still great, but it just wasn't the same, because then they made Austin fight Scott Hall. Who gives a shit? You know, Scott Hall was at the end of his career. He was a drunk. He was doing drugs. He was, you know, no one gave a shit. You know, like, everyone. I'm telling you right now, if you go back and ask me 20 years ago who you wanted to see once Hogan finally came back to WWE, who'd you want to see him fight? I would have told you Stone Cold in a heartbeat, and I'm sure everyone in that era would have said the same fucking thing, because those were the two guys. Those were Vince's golden boys. You know, those are the ones that put him on the map and made him what WWE is today. If it wasn't for those two guys, WWE would have been fucking long dead a long time ago. So, like I said,
I'm gonna go with probably back when they could go. Obviously, not now.
Yeah.
But Undertaker and Sting.
Yes.
They had talked about that for so many years, and it just never happened. I do not want to see it now, but you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it would have been just amazing in my opinion. So
yeah, I thought it would have been really good too. Like I said, that was another, like, because they were both the cornerstones of both companies, and neither one of them jumped. You know, they both could have jumped, and you know, Sting either came over to WWE afterwards, soon after Vince bought it. Undertaker could have went back to WCW. He went back to WCW in the early '90s if he wanted to, but he didn't. He hung around. So, like I said, that's a good one too. Like I said, I lean more to the Hogan Stone Cold, because that would have been epic. I think that would have been more.
Yeah, I agree.
Undertaker Sting would have been definitely just as good. But like I said, those two guys, like I said, they were the faces. They were the Vince's meal ticket for, you know, from the mid '80s to freaking middle 2000s. You know, so.
Yep.
But otherwise, like I said, and maybe I'll have Breezy back on another time with Mr. X if we can, and we'll try to figure something out with that. But folks, Mr. X will be back next time. I'll put a topic on the page. If you can't catch this live now, go to my YouTube channel. Excuse me, G-Funk's Wrestle Talk on my YouTube channel on YouTube. If you got any comments, questions, email, send them to WrestleTalk2018 or send them to JerryGman2376 yahoo.com. Jay Breezy, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. All your insight. You're the man. Thank you for joining me on such short notice. Folks, until next time, for my co-host Jay Breezy, we got to go. We'll see you when we see you.